was my fault because
Okay.
Bill had asked me about the name.
You're on.
Oh, okay.
Here's water.
What are we talking about?
You want some more?
Want some water,
Uh,
Kate?
Oh,
You're
that's
on
fine.
the bridge.
That's fine. At any rate, we have really had a blessed life. And I think it's primarily because we put God in the center and we always included him in our plans. When we would do things, we always asked God, is this part of your plan for us? And when we moved to, from New Hampshire to Half Moon Bay, one of the real clear indications was Bill had looked for a house and nothing was available, except all of a sudden the man who was showing him a house said, I have one that we may want to sell, and I'll talk to my partner. And he called and said, yeah, they'll sell this house to us. And all the other houses were over our price range. This house was built just exactly like the others, and it was even nicer because when Bill called and said, I think this is the right house, but let's ask, you know, what is it that you want? And this was in the 70s, and I had this olive green or avocado green refrigerator and all the, you know, the 70s colors. But I wanted blue, which was very different, in the living room and family room, and I wanted, and in the boys' room, and I wanted pink in Liz's room. Now, chances are, what are the chances are of going into a house when,
Did
you
you
know,
say pink or peach?
it was pink,
Okay.
yeah. And he had already gone into the other houses that looked like the one we had, except they had orange shag rug all over it. And this one had all these colors, and it was, Bill walked into the house, and every room had exactly what I had asked for.
And that was,
Now, that is like, thank you, Lord.
so we have lived in multiple places. The first place we lived when we married was in an apartment in Flushing. That was the first few years, and then when just about the time I graduated and started work, we moved into the apartment, and Bill came. And Bill came at the exact right time because when I graduated, they had the draft in effect
For Vietnam.
for Vietnam, and I didn't have to go because we had a baby. So,
So what did you do
So-
during
Kept him
Vietnam
from
War?
going
then?
to Vietnam. He was exempt.
Yeah, but what did he do during the Vietnam War?
Oh, well, he worked.
I worked.
Yeah,
I worked.
He went to
so
work.
anyway, we lived,
But it saved Bill from going there, and I'll tell you, we had a lot of friends who went, and when they came back, they were not the same people. They were very disturbed emotionally.
so we lived, from there
And their
we moved,
marriages
that's
were
where we lived in
bad.
College Point, which was a half an hour from where I worked. And then we bought a house out in Plainview, and that's where Bill started school out there.
First school, right down the street.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was so cute.
Kindergarten
He
was
got
literally
mad
right
with
down the
us.
street.
I don't know, do you remember what you got mad at, Billy? He was gonna run away. He put his backpack, he put his clothes in there, some of his clothes, and he said, I'm leaving. And he started walking toward the school. And of
Okay.
course, I'm not gonna let him go out there by himself, so I'm walking a distant way. I said, Billy, but, you know, we'll miss you. Are you sure you wanna go? Yes. He was so upset over something. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was mad because he was pestered by his little brother. At times he would get fed up with that because David wanted to be everywhere Billy was. He idolized Billy. He still does.
Oh, yeah.
He still does. And but he was this little 4-year-old that just, you know.
5-year-olds, yeah.
Was he 5? No, Billy was 6. So he was,
Well, then
he was
the-
4 years old. He's 2 years, 22 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was 4 years old, but Billy would get so fed up with him. He took him through the backyard. We had a fence that had like 2 logs, basically, that, you know, was a fence. They could climb through, no sweat, and go into the back yard neighbor's house on the other block. And Billy was there with that little boy next door.
Craig?
Yeah, well, it was that the name of that little boy that had a language like a sailor?
Yeah, it was Craig.
Yeah, he was something
We were
else.
both Craig.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
One
And anyway, he took off, and David was just standing there, looking around like, I don't know where I am. All the houses in that community were built exactly alike. He didn't know where he was, so finally a lady came out and said, "Honey, where do you live?" I don't know. "Well, are you with anybody?" "I don't know." So she called the police, and he came and picked him up. And he's driving around the neighborhood saying, "Is this your house? Is this your house?" David's sitting up in front, you know. And finally, he came to our house and said, "Do you have a little boy, 4 years old?" And I said, "Yes, he's out in the backyard." I missed him. And he said, "Well, madam, I think this little boy belongs to you. He was lost." And the policeman scolded Billy for letting David, leaving him stranded out there. And I don't know if Billy was just fed up and decided he didn't want to be bothered with any pesky little brother anymore. I don't know if it was that. I was just heartbroken. I said, "But Billy, we'll miss you. What are we gonna do? We need you. You know." "I don't care. I'm leaving this place." He was fit to be tied. I said, "Honey, I can't let you leave. You'd be too little to be by yourself." And he didn't give a rip. He wasn't listening to anything I had to say. That's when I saw a different little strong-willed boy there. And I've seen it a lot since then.
How did
It's
you
sort of like
finally-
deep waters run, you know, what is that?
Still waters.
Still
run deep.
waters run deep.
Do you know how you got him turned around? You just finally,
I just stayed with him until we talked, and he didn't like it, but he came back. I didn't know what to say. I tried my very best to tell him, you know, we'll miss you, and it won't be the same without you, Billy. We need you, and you know, I don't care. I'm getting out of here. I'm checking out of Dodge.
We only
He
lived
was
in that
so
house.
cute. He was 6 years old. Towhead. You just you blow it on his hair and it would just like down feathers. It would just fly all over the place. He was the cutest. I have a picture of him in a little sailor suit when he was about 2 years old, and it's just. No, that's David with the
David was
football.
on football.
Billy's
Still
with the
like this.
sailor outfit.
David's hair is dark. He was dark hair.
And I loved dressing them because that was during the era of Kennedy era. And so John, you know how they dressed them with the little suits, the Eden suits and the knee socks and all that stuff. Well, that's the way I dressed Billy and David. Billy is the opposite of that, but anyway, he was a good boy, and I took some